Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for watching Smart 24 TV. Remember, this is the #1 business channel in East Africa. We bring you business content and, of course, the best across the business world in the globe. We do bring you experts as well to share different ideas on the economic policies and the different other things around the economics of our country and our region, and the opportunities that it does present to you. My name is Anthony Sabali, and you're watching another edition of the financial markets here at Smart 24 TV, a show that's proudly brought to you by Uganda'S East Africa, where you can be able to buy and sell treasury bonds across East Africa, in Kenya, in Uganda, in Tanzania, with the convenience of your mobile phone. Simply dial *292# to register and get your investment journey started. Markets open at 15 minutes past 8 a.m. at Uganda'S, and they do close at 15 minutes past the hour of 3 p.m. East African Standard Time. Now, let's continue with some of the gainers here. We did have, of course, we've looked at Wumeme being the topmost gainer, Centum Investments, East African Breweries, and as well as Equity Bank and MTN Uganda. On the losing side, we just had two losers, fortunately, and that was Nation Media Group and Jubilee Holdings. Nation Media Group lost about 2.74% and closed the day with the market price of 473.28 Ugandan shillings. And on the other hand, Jubilee Holdings Limited lost about 0.13%, closing the day with about 5,768.10 Ugandan shillings on the stock price. Looking at Nation Media Group, it hasn't had a good year. Looking at, for example, their participation as well, it's been very, very small in the trading here on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Their current market capitalization at 89.2 billion Ugandan shillings, and about 0.429% of the entire equities market has as well contracted this year due to a depreciation in their price on average. Because looking at how they began the year, when you look at the company's stock here at the Uganda Stock Exchange in the beginning of the year 2022, they did begin with prices above 500 shillings, and to be very specific, about 500 and actually 600, up to 600, almost 600 shillings at the beginning of this year. Well, that did not last. They did appreciate to about 700 shillings in the month of April, and then from then onwards they saw a decline, a very sharp decline, to about 500 shillings and about 550 shillings. And then furthermore, when you look at the month of November, they crossed the line from 500 shillings to over 450 shillings in the month of December. Currently, they are still under 500 shillings at exactly 473.28 Ugandan shillings per share. This was after Friday's depreciation of close to 13.21 shillings of their trading price, down by 2.74%. Now, the shares outstanding currently are at about 189 million shares volume, and these of course bring the value of their market capitalization to the 89.2 billion shillings. Nation Media Group is cross-listing from Nairobi, and it's a media house. It does have subsidiaries here in Uganda, subsidiaries in Tanzania, and its main center in Kenya. But currently their trading hasn't been that wonderful on the Uganda Stock Exchange. However, on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, of course, they did have some great movement there this year. That aside, of course, now looking at the top movers, Umeme recorded the biggest volume for the day as expected at exactly 984,800 traded shares. The company led in terms of the top movers or the biggest participants for the day. He was followed very closely by MTN Uganda, not very closely, with a big gap there between them at 10,800 shares, and Stanbic Bank Uganda at exactly 10,800 shares that were traded on Friday. Umeme's stock, being the top gainer, top mover, was the best performer for the day and continues to be on top of the performance here on the Uganda Stock Exchange. But a little bit more about Umeme, because like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Umeme is exiting Uganda very soon, and that creates a lot of speculation in the minds of many investors. What could be the pros and cons for this? Of course, that's a question for another day. But what we know so far is that Umeme has been good in issuing dividends. Umeme has been good in creating demand on the market. It's a utility company, so most definitely people look at it as one of the most stable stocks that could be invested in on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Also, in terms of value, it does have a good value on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Currently, it's still the 8th most valuable. It has moved, of course, in that position from the 10th position due to its share price appreciation from the 200 to 210 shillings to 274 currently. That is in a space of less than a month. That shows you how serious trading is currently at Umeme. Now, the total market capitalization currently is at 447 billion Ugandan shillings, currently representing just about 2.15% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. However, the traded volume was the biggest for the day, and about 984,800 shares were bought and sold on the exchange, on Umeme last Friday. The total turnover here, we are talking about over 271 million Ugandan shillings that was recorded, which is a pretty good one. MTN, we know, of course, has been on top of its game in turnover because of its much more favorable pricing. At 200 shillings, it beats most of the other active stocks. The active stocks like Stanbic, which are at 21, you're looking at MTN at 180, and Bank of Baroda at 85. So when you look at the active stocks, currently Umeme outdoes them when it comes to turnover, because first of all, it has a bigger price, and secondly, it has a consistent kind of market participation. The traders are always on their toes, trying to see that they buy shares into the company, they buy more and keep more. So that, of course, has kept Umeme on top of its on the top of the turnover guys, of course, there on the market. Well, from the first quarter all through the second and third quarter of the year 2022, Umeme, according to statistics, has been, of course, coming out with the biggest turnover on the market. For starters, turnover is the total value of traded shares. So we multiply the number of traded shares by the stock price, and the value we get is what we call the turnover, and this is exactly what we are talking about. Umeme Limited closed last Friday with 275.00 Ugandan shillings. This was after about a 9.1% gain over its price. That was from 252.0 Ugandan shillings at the beginning of the trading. However, Umeme began the year with a total price of 189.0 Ugandan shillings. That is where things get really interesting at the end of the year. So right now, if you bought shares at the beginning of this year, 2022, you're counting a gain of 45.5%. Think about that. That's how much really Umeme has added value to their shareholders. 45.5% of value has been added on Umeme's stock in the last 12 months. And this is, of course, putting the company in the first position when it comes to year-to-date performance currently on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Shareholders can be also very highly optimistic, as the company's stock has accrued 31% of its value just in the past 4 weeks, and that is the best still in terms of the monthly performance on the Uganda Stock Exchange. So I don't know what you're waiting for. If you haven't bought shares in Umeme, I don't know what you're waiting for. I'm not a very good prophet of doom, but I'm really seeing value. There's a lot of value that is going to come out of this. So better get in before it gets too late at Umeme. When you look at also the trading volume, Umeme currently still maintains its second position in terms of the most traded on stocks, only beat by Stanbic Bank by its volumes there. And since the 26th of September to the 23rd of December, the company has seen about 5.37 billion Ugandan shillings in turnover and about 24.9 million traded shares in this period. Now, what do you really want? If it's a company like Umeme, 100 shares with about 200,000, you can get some. If you have 2 million, you can get about 1,000 shares. It's high time you really started realizing some of these opportunities before they go away from you. And Umeme is definitely providing that for you. So I would 100% advise you to go out and buy some of Umeme stock right now before it's too late. You can do it right now. You can go to www.use easy portal to register your Securities Central Depository account. That is an account which is a store of securities. So you will buy your shares and they'll be kept there. And then you can also get in touch with any of the licensed stockbrokers. There are just 5 of them, and they're listed there on the exchange. You can find them out there. We do have Diane Blair, we do have Cheaper Technologies, we do have SBG Securities, as well as Crested Capital and UAP Old Mutual. All those can get you stocks on the Uganda Stock Exchange. And after that, the rest is history. There are 3 days of settlement. Don't think you're going to buy shares today and you see them on your account today. No, you have to give it time, at least 3 trading days. So if you bought them today, you will expect them on your account on Friday. That's just how it is. All right, so you just do that and get to enjoy a little return on your savings as well. Now, in summary, on the final day of trading here at the Uganda Stock Exchange, we just had about a volume of about close to about when you look at the total here, 10,000 shares, about 900, about 1 million shares really was traded on the stock exchange. That is on Friday, and the market capitalization on the exchange is currently at 20.8 trillion Ugandan shillings. And when you look at the all share index, it appreciated by 7.58 points up to about 1,199.50, putting it at a 1-week loss of 0.61% and a 4-week loss of 1.39%. The USE local company index also appreciated at a 0.69% gain to reach about 272.59 points. Now currently counting about a 1-week loss of just about 0.66%. And that's the trading at the Uganda Stock Exchange. Let's get to close the day with the Nairobi trading and as well as the US market trading through the holiday season. Nairobi Securities Exchange on last Friday, let's see, it had about 50 companies participating in trading, and the day ended with just 23 gainers and about 15 losers on the market. TPS East African Serena led the gainers at a 9.68%. This is a hotel management company with different hotels and lodges across East Africa. Currently, it has about 11.9 Kenyan shillings per share that's being traded on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Nairobi Business Ventures as well gained 9.12%, on its value. Stanley Fahari Income Re8 gained about 8.85%, as well as Express Kenya at 8.8% gain on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. On the losing side, however, Trans Century came out last with an end of day price depreciation of 10%, losing to 0.81 Kenyan shillings per share, followed by Uchumi Supermarket. Uchumi has currently really registered some quite a decline in performance. Just a few days ago, it was amongst the top gainers, and we've seen, of course, what's happening to the company's stock, up and down, and of course, this is not a good stock to keep for especially a short time. If you're a speculator and you're coming into the market, I doubt this is a stock for you. You must be really patient with Uchumi if you are to make a gain from it. Kakuzi as well lost 6.7%, and Samia Africa lost about 4.35%. Those were some of the people that came out at the bottom of the Nairobi Securities Exchange. TransCentury, however, recorded the biggest volume for the day, about 10 million traded shares, and Equity Group Holdings at 3.31 million followed suit, as well as KCB Group at a 1.9 million volume mark, and finally Safaricom at a 624,400 shares volume. Equity Group has currently registered very good activity. Intensified interest has been witnessed on the market for this particular stock, and currently still maintaining its position amongst the top movers with a 3.31 million shares last week. Regarding the performance of the NSE market indices, the benchmark index, that is the all-share index, closed at a total value of 128.09, representing a one-week loss of 0.31%. This is, of course, due to the lack of any changes in the day's trading results on the all-share index. It did not change for the day. And when you look at their year-to-date loss, currently counting about 23.05% in loss there on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. The other indexes that were remarkably very active on the day's trading were the NSE 20 and the NSE 25. Particularly the NSE 20 gained about 0.52%, and the NSE 25 is 0.09% on their value there. These are very important indexes because they do give you the aggregate performance of the different stocks. The NSE 20 particularly gives you the top 20 companies, and the NSE 25 the top 25 companies on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Generally, after the day's trading, there was a great improvement. Over 50 companies participating in trading. From the average of last week, we had about 40 companies, honestly. There's even a day we had about 36 or something companies trading. But at the end of the week, the 50 companies that participated improved the volumes by about 298%. And about 235% was registered as improvement in the turnover as well on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. A 4% so far improvement was also registered in the deals that were made on the market. The current market capitalization of Nairobi is up as well to about 1.99 trillion Ugandan shillings. And that's the trading that we had at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Now currently, let's get to wind up the business here with the US markets, and I just wanted to take you through some of the trading that happened on Tuesday, because of course there was a long holiday for the markets in the US as well since last Friday. Now US stocks twisted and turned Tuesday morning as Wall Street returned from the long holiday weekend to burrow through the final 4 days of trading of 2022. The S&P 500 of the Standards and Poor's, which tracks the top 500 American companies, lost a total value of about 0.2% on Tuesday, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which tracks the top 30 stocks, that is on the New York Stock Exchange mainly, advanced around 90 points or 0.3%, whereas the tech-heavy Nasdaq, tracking the top tech companies in the US, that is Nasdaq Composite, of course, slid about 0.8%. A move by China to scrap the quarantine requirements for inbound travelers beginning Jan 8th had given a sentimental boost that, of course, with the broadening of the country's reopening after the 3-year COVID controls and travel restrictions, that the companies probably would do quite better. The National Health Commission also said Monday that the nation's management of the virus will be downgraded from Category B to Category B from Category A, which is the top level category. So that easing, of course, was expected to be positively impacting the markets. Now, Tesla continued a sharp downtrend after Reuters reported that the electric vehicle giant will run a reduced production schedule at its Shanghai factory in January, extending the reduced output. It began this month into the new year. Tesla fell more than 6% early into the session. Shares of Southwest Airlines also tumbled about 6% after the airline cancelled roughly 2,900 flights, or over 70% of the scheduled flights on Monday, one day after scraping 48% on Sunday. Of course, this was due to poor weather conditions, the cold weather there, the winter in the United States affecting travel. Now, the U.S. Transportation Department said, called the magnitude of cancelled flights unacceptable and said it would investigate whether the company was responsible or not. That's trading we had for you, of course, from yesterday on the US market. Markets will be open as well today on the Uganda Stock Exchange. You can be able to participate. We just have 3 days to go to wind up the year, and I hope you're excited as I am, beginning a fresh new year. What are some of your different investments that you would want to diversify in the year 2023? Which asset classes do you think are going to work for you? Is it going to be the unit trusts? Is it going to be the treasury bonds? Is it going to be the stocks? Share with me on my Twitter at Anthony Sabale, or on our Twitter at Smart24TV, and we will get you covered there. You can tag us there in your tweet. Thank you so much for watching and for staying tuned on Smart24 TV. I'll catch you tomorrow, same time, same place. My name is Anthony. See you tomorrow. Bye.